The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for October 2nd. Taylor, we are in October. We can say it. Hockey is finally here. We're in October.
I know. We only have one more week, and then we get our first game. I can't wait.
I know. I totally agree. Well, this is season 15, episode number 9, and this is episode number 523 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. I am Bob Howard. As you already know, she is Taylor Welch. And Taylor, again, I can't believe it. We're talking here on Wednesday, and what is happening right now on Wednesday? Well, training camp has officially begun for the Binghamton Black Bears.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit off air that we don't have that many people that, like too many people. So it's kind of easy to see who's going to fit in and how it's all going to work out and come together.
Yeah, I mean, the way we're looking at it, there are 24 players in camp right now. You only have to cut down to 22 players by the start of the season. So they've got 9 days to have all 24 of these guys in here, and then they got to cut down the players down to 22, at least for the Binghamton Black Bears, because they do start not this Friday, but the Friday afterwards. And so the Black Bears will have to get down to 22. So that means that they only have to cut two players. That's not too bad. I truly think that Brant probably did this in a very smart way. Now what he's going to get for the next 9 days is he's going to get all of his players really just kind of working on the systems and things that he and Q want them to get working on. And I think that's a good thing. So I think the Black Bears are in good shape right now.
Yeah, I think in all honesty, I'm sure Brant already knows exactly what he's going to do. And I mean, he knows the guys that he's bringing in, he's looking for a certain aspect or a certain kind of thing. And I think the fact that he only has to bring in a handful of guys, and even then at the end of October, only having to cut two, possibly, I think that's just a great sign that he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and I would imagine that if he wants to move somebody to another team, he's probably already got the right contacts, the right ideas on what he might want to do in that particular case. So I think if he's made a commitment to some of these new guys, and maybe a couple of these new guys don't make it onto the team, he might already have a plan for them as well. Because if there's one thing that I've learned about Brant over the years, is that he really truly does care about these guys that come in, even the ones that don't make the team. He does, care about them, and if they want to continue their career, he tries to help and find them, maybe a home or puts in a good word for them. So, I feel good for everybody that's coming into camp. And I've already seen some pictures. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. There's some pictures and a little bit of video from the Black Bears out there about training camp from today. And there's even one picture of Zach Sirota and got a big old smile on his face. And a couple of the guys, thumbs up. So it looks like everybody is, happy and just ready to be back, and training camp has begun. And that's really what matters, is that, it's October, and my birthday's in 10 days, which is great. But also the hockey season begins.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the pictures yet. I did see the one video that kind of was teasing that they're kind of getting back in the swing, and I got to see a couple of smiling faces, and everybody seemed very excited to be back in their home. Yeah,
there's also a teaser of the ring as well, which I know the players will get in about a week. The players will get the ring in about a week, and so that'll be pretty cool. But there's a little teaser from Barron, who makes the rings, and you could see that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I saw that out there today as well. I know that some of the other teams, Taylor, as you kind of wind your day down and you can get on the internet a little bit more, some of the other teams have posted video and pictures from their camps that have started. Most of the teams started their camps today as well here on Wednesday. So I think that's, from Port Huron to a couple of the other teams that I saw, it looks like, just the league is just ready to get going. Did you also see, I don't know if you saw this, but it looks like not only will the games be broadcast on YouTube, but there's also another streaming company that apparently the league is going to have the games streamed on. I'm trying to think of the name now. Is it 40? Oh, man. Now I got to go look it up because I can't remember. But there is another. I got to find it. I know that our friend Gary Ryan has it. So let's go to the Fed League Flash. It is called. Where is it? Of course, he's posted so many things today. There was a coaching change in Monroe, so they have a new head coach. Oh, Sporfy. So you can watch all the FPHL action live on Sporfy. Just click on the Sporfy logo to be directed to our network. Apparently, the link to the network doesn't work yet. That seems on brand for the FPHL. But I guess YouTube primarily is going to be what people can use. And then an app called Sporfy, which apparently is also going to be free, and you're going to be able to watch the games on that as well, at least according to what is being reported.
Yeah, that seemed kind of interesting on my end, since it kind of seems like they've figured out the whole YouTube situation. But maybe it's like a backup thing, or they just kind of want to branch out a little bit more, try some new things. I've never heard of it, but that doesn't mean anything on my end.
I think it's going to be a backup. Hopefully. So if something goes off the air on YouTube, they'll be able to obviously do it as well on Sporfy. Or if someone just prefers Sporfy, they can go over there and do it. To me, it's a weird name. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely a weird name. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue very easy.
I wonder if it's supposed to be like sports and Spotify kind of combined, and you get Sporfy.
See, I was trying to figure out what it was, because I was going with sports, but I couldn't figure out what the last part of it would be.
Well, Spotify is one of the biggest streaming platforms out there, so I wonder if the fee in Spotify. Well, it's Spotify though, not sport. Alrighty. We're already off the rails here. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube so you can see the next time our podcast is there. Join the conversation on Facebook. Just search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. Coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show from the Binghamton Black Bears, I don't know if he's a forward. I don't know if he's a defenseman. Scott Ramaekers. I guess we'll find out. Maybe I can ask the question, next week when I'm at a couple of the training camp days. But Scott Ramaekers, he's going to be on the show. He just signed this past Saturday. I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, Scott, would you like to come back on the show?" He said yes. And then he took up all of my Tuesday evening. I spent 3 hours, Taylor, on the phone with Scott, and we only recorded for 33 minutes. So there's that. But yeah, on the phone with Scott for 3 hours.
I think this is why Brant likes to reach out to you to, see if you've talked to a certain player, any of the players, because they seem to they seem to open up to you and just, talk to you about things, whether it's related to hockey or their life or anything in general. But
Yeah.
I think that's why Brant wants to, he reaches out to you like that.
It's probably true. He wants to know if I've checked in with a player or not. Because I did check in with Josh Fletcher just a couple weeks ago, and then had him on the show. But Josh is great, and I hope Fletch all the best, and I hope he can get back. One of the things, speaking of Fletch, one of the things that has come up recently is the failed to reports that you see on the Fed website. A lot of the guys, I know our guys have been in good shape. Coaches said that most every single person has gotten across that they were hoping to get across. I'm pretty sure that nobody's had any other issues except for Josh, but Josh is kind of a self-inflicted wound from a couple years ago. But I guess a lot of the players that are not reporting, like Nikita Ivashkin, as one of the members of the Danbury Hat-Tricks, he can't get a visa. They can't get into the country from other countries, and a lot of them are the Russian-born players that are having problems getting over. Now, if they're also only going to get a 6-month, I'd almost say that it would probably be a good idea to wait until maybe November, or just be, sometime in November to then, come over and get the 6-month visa. But some of those Russian players are having a trouble getting over here, and it's unfortunate. If they could get the P1 visa, that would be good. So, it's one of those things that I think that hopefully next season the fans of the FPHL and the teams don't have to worry about.
Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like it's got to be frustrating on not only the players, but the team in general, the league in general. Like I'm sure it's just kind of frustrating all around for everybody. It's kind of. I would hate to think that starting off your season that way would determine how the rest of your season would go. So you ever know, it's it's one of those days where it's if one thing bad's going to happen, your whole day is going to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that would be my luck when it came to certain stuff like that. But it would be nice if they could kind of, come up with a solution or get it figured out so it's easier for these guys to get over here. Because, playing in this league alone is hard enough, but just kind of adding that on just makes it that much harder.
I totally agree. All right, well, let's get into the roster. I promised everybody we would talk about the roster because we're in training camp right now. So there are a lot of players here. There's going to be a few players that are not going to be here. And we'll talk a little bit about that coming up because the ECHL camp starts in a few more days. And we have a couple guys that will be going there. But for now, pretty much everybody's here except for one guy. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But why don't you kind of go through what we know and highlight some of the players that obviously are here and, have been here for a while.
So looking at the training camp roster, we're just going to highlight a few of the players firsthand. Starting with our forwards, we have, of course, Tyson Kirkby. He's got 4 years with the Black Bears. He's the first in franchise history with 164 games played, 115 goals, 154 assists for 269 points just last season. Gavin Yates, another one who has been here for 4 years with the Black Bears, 158 games played, 77 goals, 134 assists, 211 points. And then Austin Thompson, who's been here with 3 years, 159 games played, 95 goals, 94 assists for 189 points.
Now, Taylor, before we move on, when we look at these three guys, these are our three main forwards. Tyson and Gavin will be playing in their 5th seasons. Austin will be playing in his 4th season here in Binghamton. And there are kind of our seasoned players, so to speak, our older players who know Binghamton very, very well. I can't imagine there are many teams out there right now going into this season that have, 2 guys with 5 going into their 5th year in the city that they're playing in, and then another guy playing in their 4th. Other than maybe Port Huron, when you got Alex Johnson, and of course you have Austin Federley, who's been the captain there for 11 years, and then Matt Graham, who's been there for 6 or 7 years. But otherwise, there's not many teams that have this kind of veteran leadership on their team.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't see that anywhere else throughout the league. And I think that just kind of goes to show that these guys, they love who they're playing for and who they're playing with.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a major statement.
No, it's very true. Whether it's playing for Binghamton, whether it's playing for Andreas or playing for Brant Sherwood, it says a lot. All right, let's talk about the defense.
On the defense, we have Jesse Anderson, who is on his he'll be going into his fourth year with the Black Bears. He's played 132 games, has 34 goals, 86 assists for 120 points. Dan Stone, who played in all 56 games his first season, last season led the league with a plus-minus of plus 56 rating, and in 49 games had 9 goals and 36 assists for 45 points. And then Dan Weber, starting his third full season with the Black Bears, he has now played in 100 games, scored 7 goals, 24 assists for 31 points, and is a plus 44 in those 100 games.
Yeah, one of the things I like is if you're going to put out there 6 guys on defense, we've already got 3 guys that have like 100 plus games as a pro. And that really sets the standard right there, right? Because if you have Jesse Anderson on one line, Dan Stone on one line, and Dan Weber on one line, right? Because, maybe you pair up Jesse and Cam Cervone because they did that last year and it was a pretty good thing. And then you take Luke Dobles and put him in with, either Dan Weber or Dan Stone. And then, honestly, Emerson Emery with one of these guys, you realistically have a very solid defensive core right there.
Even just looking at the plus minus, our plus minus last year, we didn't have a single person on the defense who was negative. And I don't know if there was another team out there that could have said the same thing. Just between Dan Stone and Dakota Bond, we beat almost every other team in plus minus.
No, it's very true. It's very true. I think defensively, I was worried initially, and then as the season of autumn got closer, the players started to come together, and it's like, oh, okay, this is starting to make more sense, and I think this is going to work really well for us. All right, let's talk about our 2 goaltenders.
All righty, our goaltenders, Connor McNamara, starting his third full season with the Black Bears. He has 49 wins, 6 losses, and 5 overtime losses for a 2.22 goals against average and a .921 save percentage. In the playoffs, he has 14 wins with only 1 loss, a 1.65 goals against average, and a .947 save percentage. Nolan Egbert, in 2 full seasons with the Black Bears, he is 27, 8-2, has a 3.22 goals against average and an .891 save percentage.
I think when you look at the goaltending, the fact of the matter is, yes, you can have one main goaltender, be at a team for 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years. That's absolutely fine. And if they do well, they might stick around or they might move up. But to have both your starting goaltender and your backup goaltender with a team in the Fed for a 3rd straight year, that is so rare. That doesn't normally happen. And I go back to something you already said, which is they like to play here. They want to be here. I know with Connor, he could try and go somewhere else. He hasn't tried to go somewhere else because he likes it here.
Our goalie tandem, it just works so well. I know there was kind of towards the end of the season last year, there was a couple fans that were kind of upset that Nolan hadn't been playing or hadn't been put in for a lot of games. We were in the process of making sure that our other goalie got his games for the playoffs and just making sure Connor stays on top of his. But Nolan, on top of all of that, always has a smile on his face, is always ready to go. Yeah. Is prepared to jump in if need be. Like, their goalie tandem just works. And Nolan, if Connor doesn't play, has the ability to give you a win, and it's not something that you're worried about.
Well, when you're scoring 5.4 goals a game on average, and Nolan's goals against is 3.2, it's not that it's a lock that it's going to be a win, you just can have the confidence of sending him out there at any given time, no matter what. If Connor can't go for whatever reason, or maybe Connor just has a bad game. I mean, listen, he had one bad game in the last couple of years, really bad game, which was that 8-6 loss up in Port Huron, right? So you can immediately then go to, Nolan Egbert if need be, because you have a guy that, can go out there and stop the puck. He has a different playing style completely from Connor, right? Kind of goes for those windmill type saves, and he'll be on his butt, he'll be on his back, he'll do what he has to do to make the save, but that's what he does. But that's I think it's one of the reasons why the Black Bears have been so good the last 2 years is they have so much confidence in their two goaltenders. It doesn't matter who's in there.
Yeah, and I think kind of you hinted at Nolan being so much different in playing styles. It's very well said that they play very differently, and I think that's kind of another thing that kind of gives them a slight edge, because I feel like if you look at the other goalie tandems, they all kind of play pretty similar, or they play like the new style of hockey. Nolan's not like that. Nolan likes the old style, and I think that kind of throws some of the newer guys off the game.
It probably does, because so many people play the same style as Connor. At least at this age group, a lot of them do. Not a lot of them play like Nolan does, who, there's a lot of old school hockey goaltenders that played in the NHL that they would just hop on their ass and start moving around, and they would pad stack and do things of that nature. Nolan does it very well. That's his style. That's what he likes to do. I think it fits his athletic ability as well. And that's another thing that, a lot of people have to understand, is that when you're playing goalie and you're going to pick a style, you may be trained 100% all the way to do it the way Connor does it, the way Sam Levenchi did it, the way CJ Happer did it. But then you might be a guy where you're like, listen, I really love hockey and I want to play. And no, I am not the same type of athlete as maybe Connor is. And you learn a different way. But that's also the way he likes to play. Some of his favorite goaltenders that played in the NHL, that's the way they played. And that's fine, because it works and he's good at it. And he works hard at his craft, and that's the important thing. But again, two great goaltenders, and that's all that matters. And plus, something that, Brant talks about all the time, Nolan is also a guy you want to be around, right? So, and you want to talk to him, and you want to have fun with him, and you want to hang out with him. And nobody more so than Brant knows about how important it is to have guys that make the guys on the team happy. And Nolan is one of those guys. He's mentioned that to me many times, that the guys love having Nolan around. He is one of the nicest guys on the team.
Well, even just watching him with fans, watching him when little kids come up, or when people ask for autographs, or just to talk to him in general, he always, whatever he's doing, he stops and gives his full undivided attention to whoever is talking to him. And I think that is amazing.
100%. All right. So let me kind of go through what I have determined is the roster right now in training camp as we are talking. So first of all, Emerson Emery. So we're going to talk about the defense first. So the defense is Emerson Emery, Jesse Anderson, Cam Servone, Luke Dobles, Dan Stone, and Dan Weber. Those 6 guys were here for different parts of the season last year with the team. They have also got Chandler Lynch and Sergei Sherbakov. Now, depending on what they do with Scott Ramaekers, and if they want to have a 7th defenseman, those 2 young rookies are actually fighting for that spot, that extra defenseman spot, whether it's Lynch or Sherbakov. So that's really what they're fighting for there. That makes, I think, it really easy for these guys to prepare defensively as a core, knowing that other than Scott Ramaekers being a part of the equation possibly, and from what I heard from today, he has played a defensive role in training camp so far. He hasn't gone to the forward side of things yet. So that is a little bit interesting there. But I think we're in good shape there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think having a limited quantity to choose from makes it harder for the guys fighting for that spot because
Yes.
you're only competing against one other person
Mm-hmm.
or two people in total compared to a bunch of guys. So you have to work so much harder to make sure that you're going to be there at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a competition between Lynch and Shabakov on whether or not they're going to be here, past, October 10th. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now, on the forward side of things, so I have calculated eight defensemen. So Scott Ramaekers, if he's skating as a defenseman, that would be 9. So he's kind of like the tweener guy on what's happening there. All right, so you have Ivan Bondarenko, you have Cam Clark, you have Zachary Desmarais, Mac Jansen, Tim Kim, Tyson Kirkby. Cody Rumsey is not going to be here in camp right now. Cody Rumsey is going to be up in Birmingham and of the SPHL. So we're going to take him off the board right there. Okay, we got Jacob Shankar, Zach Sirota, CJ Stubbs, Nick Swain, Austin Thompson, Scott Ramaekers. Again, if he's playing on defense and not on forward, that changes that element a little bit. Gavin Yates. Those are your forwards. Those are the guys. Everybody's familiar with pretty much everybody there, except for some of the new guys like Mac Jansen and Bondarenko, who we really do believe is going to be on the team. There's no way those two guys are going to come in and get caught for somebody else. But that's 13 forwards right there. Take Ramaekers out as the ninth defenseman in training camp, and it's really 12 forwards. So what's interesting here is if you take all the returning players on forward, you basically have your 10 forwards, and then you'd be looking at like an 11th, 12th, or 13th forward that you have to figure out unless Ramaekers goes and plays defense. Again, I think the big question here is, do you have an extra forward, an extra defenseman that are rookies, or does your defensive core end up being all the returning players that are playing defensemen, including Scott Ramaekers? Because again, Tim Kim, Jacob Shankar, Zachary Desmarais, they might be fighting for just one spot on the team.
Yeah, I think unless the two rookies on the defensive side can really show that they are the next Dakota Bond,
Yeah,
I think having the extra forward and keeping the returners as the defensemen would be the smart play, in my opinion, just because you don't have the Dakota Bond this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, what makes this a little bit easier for coach through training camp is that 22 players will be on the rosters until the end of October. Bears have right now 24 in camp. That's how much I've counted, with Rumsey being up in Birmingham. If he was here, it would be 25, at least from my calculation of who should be in camp right now. We have two guys that will probably be going. We already mentioned this once before, heading up to camp up in the ECHL. Dan Weber should be going to Reading for a little bit into their ECHL camp, and Freelander. Now, with Freelander going up into camp, I didn't put him on the list. We've got the Bork, Jamison Bork, here as a goaltender. So I think goaltending-wise, we'll be fine. Connor McAnanama, Nolan Agbert, we've already talked about that. Wyatt Freelander's here right now, but he should be going to the ECHL camp up in Adirondack in just a few days. I don't think there's really much for coach to think about when it comes to the goaltenders, other than the fact that when Wyatt comes back down, he will be more than likely going into November. He'll be the 20th player, because you're allowed to have 3 goaltenders, getting you to the 20th, manned roster, so to speak, when November 1st comes around. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think there's only really a few decisions that have to be made through training camp. So I think training camp is just going to be really getting the guys together.
Yeah, and I think they're having more fun than they are actually worried about training camp. I mean, they all seem very happy and excited to be back, and I think that's kind of a great show of, that they're here to work and they're here to play.
Now, they are training over at the BCC Ice Center right at the moment. As everybody knows, the ice is being put in at the arena right now. I believe the logos and the dasher boards and all that stuff, all that kind of work was being done today. Ice should be in by tomorrow morning. And then I believe the Black Bears might skate tomorrow at the arena for training camp. And then on Friday morning, they'll also probably do a skate there as well. And then the Syracuse Crunch will come down and take over the locker rooms and things of that nature. But BCC Ice Center today for training camp, that's where it was held. And again, like I said, we saw some pictures. I wasn't there today. I haven't talked to Coach in a couple days. I might reach out to him in a couple days just to see how this week worth of practices and camp went. But I try to, give him a space a little bit, especially during training camp, because that's training camp and playoffs. If I try to bug him too much, I don't want him to get annoyed with me asking questions and everything. Now, I did see pictures of Q, obviously there at practice today as well. So that's great that he's there. I know Mason Esworthy said he was going to be there a little bit this week. Everything's coming together. I don't know if there's much more we could talk about with the roster, because Coach is going to let these guys kind of play through. Now, if I remember correctly, Thursday, October 2nd, which today's the 1st as we're recording this, Tully's Good Time Show. I think they reported 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They will do the Tully's Good Time Show. Plus, you can pick up your season tickets.
Yeah, that'll be happening tomorrow, and it'll be a madhouse there. But it's a good time. It's always fun to go. I don't know if they have players there the first night, because I have yet to actually make it through the doors. But it's really nice to see the players there and kind of get to see them off the ice, and they're kind of back to their natural selves.
Natural selves. They're back in the element, the hockey player element. All right. Well, let's get to the Scott Ramaekers interview. It's a very good interview. I very much enjoyed talking to Scott. I think we both needed water afterwards because we talked for 3 hours. You guys get about 33 minutes of that conversation. And when we come back after that, we're going to give you our top 5 things we're looking forward to this upcoming season and the top 5 things that maybe we're not looking forward to for this upcoming season. And we'll see after we debut this, because we haven't seen it, right? Taylor, you have not seen mine. I have not seen yours, correct?
Correct.
So we'll see if any of them kind of match up at all. So coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is Scott Ramaekers. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I have just spent the last 2 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I really don't. I mean, I feel bad really for the fans right now, because he and I have talked for the last 2 hours and 13 minutes before we actually pressed play here or record here in the studios. But he's our good friend, and I love him to death. He's great. Scott Ramaekers, welcome back to the Power Play Post Show. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Bob.
Let's talk a little bit about your summer. You had a pretty cool summer. You actually went to Nashville, and tell me a little bit about, and tell the fans a little bit about why you went to Nashville.
So Nashville's always a place that, I thought maybe when hockey's over or later on in life, place that I'd move. I like warm weather, like country music. My sister lives down there, so I've visited quite a few times. I've just liked the vibes of like the city in general. So I, after the season, stuck around here till about the end of May, went home, and then drove down like the first week of June. I think the country music fest was going on. So drove down for that and then stayed there for about 3 months. She luckily has an extra room at her house. She was like, hey, let's, stay down here for a bit, give it a trial run, see if you like it. And I was fortunate enough that she was willing to let me do that. So I stayed down there. I was studying for a financial test that I ended up passing in, I don't know, I think July maybe. And then was visiting back and forth, had weddings and stuff like that. And then moved back home, I think mid-August, because I had a wedding out in Michigan, drove up with buddies, whatever. So yeah, I was out there for a bit. I was playing some roller hockey out there, which was fun. So yeah.
Is there anybody else on the team? You mentioned the roller hockey, and before we get back to Nashville, because I do want to circle back to Nashville for a second, is there anybody else on the Black Bears that likes to play roller hockey as well?
Just from being around Buffalo, Clarkie. Mm-hmm. I've seen him at the rink or at the roller rink. He watched me win, I think 2 years ago, won the league, and then I watched his team after me take a devastating loss in overtime for the championship. And then Brody Thornton was a big roller hockey guy, if you remember Brody.
Cool. Yeah, Brody.
And then Wally, JT Walters, was a huge guy from California, huge roller hockey guy, I remember.
Well, he had the California hair too, right?
Right. So, but guys, I don't know. I think Clarkie, I know Matter's a roller hockey guy from last year. But yeah, I don't know. That might be it. I'm not positive.
So Nashville, you obviously like country music. There's a lot of great music down in Nashville now. Even rock and roll is really becoming big in Nashville. A lot of artists, no matter who they are, they go down there. Were you able to get to see any shows down there at all this year?
CMA Fest, I think we went and saw Jake Owen. He was decent. It's kind of weird because, when I was down there, I was hoping I'd see a lot more shows, but with the weather and it being warm up north, I see that a lot of the country stars will start, they'll come up into Binghamton, Syracuse, Buffalo, go up into Michigan and kind of do those amphitheater tours or stadium tours while it's nice out up here. So that kind of stunk that when I was down there, I liked the heat. It was like 90 to 95 every day. I enjoyed it. But when it came to concerts and stuff, I saw that, it seemed like most of those, most of the country stars were on tour up north, kind of doing that while the weather was nice up here and not snowing and 20 degrees.
So did it pay off? Are you thinking, yes, Nashville is going to be a place for me once hockey's over with? I
think it's definitely a possibility with my sister still being there. Yeah. I do have one of my former college teammates. He actually just moved there because he has his brothers living there. So I got to see him, catch up with him and stuff, which was cool. So, and then playing roller, I met a few guys. So I think maybe down the road, I don't know when. But it's an option. But it's definitely like a city that I did like visiting, and my parents, whenever they retire, with my sister being there, they might make their way down there. I'm not really sure. So it kind of does depend what my parents do as well. There's kind of, obviously when you move, there's a lot that goes into it, but it was definitely, I enjoyed my time down there. It was great.
Education, your career potentially after hockey is very important to you. You and I have had a lot of conversation about that. And honestly, the career that you want to go into is a very demanding, it's a very challenging, it's a very competitive field. At least from how I understand it. My wife is kind of like in that financial business kind of field as well. Talk a little bit about how difficult it is to probably go back and forth between, concentrating on hockey and thinking about that career and continuing, because as you said, you passed one of your financial tests this year, and there's multiple ones. If fans don't know, when you get into the field that Scott is trying to go into eventually, there's a lot of training. There's a lot of education. Just having your degree isn't everything. There are more things to do. The field that I'm in, same type of way. I can continue to educate and continue to improve in that sense. How difficult is it to balance the two?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It can be tough, but like on the bus and stuff last year, I know earlier I'm trying to think, it was like midway through the year. I think we had a trip and Stoner was sitting by me and I was sitting there reading like an investment, like finance book. It had nothing to do with my test, nothing. I was just, was trying to get into reading. And, I went to college for 5 years, got my master's and stuff. So my parents are both teachers. So I just like to constantly be learning. I guess it's kind of like a nerdier thing to say, but
it's okay.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, with 1,000% sure exactly. I know I want to get into finance and, just trying to look into different options of, what I want to do right now, what I think, and I want to give a shot whenever that is, or, I have to pass 3 more tests, I believe, to be fully registered. So yeah, I mean, I gotta start studying for that. I'm fortunate enough that there's someone locally that is going to kind of help me or let me shadow them, see what they do on the day to day and kind of look into that. So,
you and I talked a little bit off air about Binghamton, the hockey legacy, guys, kind of like finding things here in Binghamton to like about being here in Binghamton while they're here, and some stay afterwards. As some people know or may not know, Tyson Kirkby, he got married this summer. He's been here all summer long. He really kind of has almost put roots here in Binghamton. And when I said to him, I said, "Hey, are you going to go to Worcester and be a part of their camp this year?" He's like, "No, I'm going to be here in Binghamton. I like it here." You're now finding, a company that's going to help you further your education and your career potentially outside of hockey in finance. And I don't think you probably realized 2 years ago when you came here that was going to be an opportunity for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely didn't. I think that just kind of goes to show for the people that live around here and are from here. It's, I was talking to a guy that I know that, I was looking to get into finance, and he, next thing you know, was like, "Oh, let me set you up with a guy," and, talked to him about it and went out and got lunch with him. And then next thing he's like saying, "Yeah, you should stop by and, I'll kind of show you what I do," and stuff like that. So it just kind of goes to show the type of people that live in Binghamton and why people want to stay here, So I'm very fortunate that, that all happened. So yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about training over the summer, because I've talked about it with a lot of the guys this year. I know Emery said he put on, basically 10 pounds. It's all muscle. He wants to be better playing defense. He trained all defensively this year. Your training has been a little bit of rollerblading, weights, things of that nature as well. Talk a little bit about training this summer.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was obviously, I did sign kind of late, so it was a different summer for sure. I was still staying active and, watching my weight and all that stuff, and making sure that if I did come back to play, that I'd be ready to go. Like I said, I was playing roller hockey, was going for runs in Nashville in 90 to 95 degree heat, which
no, thank you,
which was a lot. And I'm not a very good runner. I don't think that's something that interests me very much. But so I was going for runs and stuff just because, I didn't know a ton of people there and who to train with and stuff like that. So I was just trying to stay active. And then
you do realize there's an NHL team there. You could have probably found somebody from the NHL team to say, "Hey, can I train with anybody down here? Is there anybody? I'm a hockey player. Can I train?" Because listen, I know a lot of pro players, NHL, AHL, ECHL, even single A hockey, D1. They'll all get together in the summertime, and I'm sure there's got to be a group somewhere there in Nashville that would have let you come in and train with them.
Yeah, no, there probably was. But yeah, so I was down there, just trying to stay active and stuff. And then, when I came back to Buffalo, my parents because I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to live and stuff like that. So, like where I was going to go next, obviously I was, I had my parents were like, let me stay with them, but, I wasn't sure where I was going to go. So I didn't want to, get tied up into training, joining a gym, whatever. Fortunately, we have some stuff in our basement. So I was able to kind of lift weights. And then I was helping out with the Junior Sabres, OJHL team, which is a junior league. So I was staying on the ice a little bit with them, but I was helping coach, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed doing that. And then about 2 weeks before camp was going to go, I hopped back on the ice, was skating with some ECHL guys, just in case, because I was I wasn't sure exactly, what I was going to do. And I was essentially just going to let, fate decide in a sense. And in my heart, I wanted to come back, but, for some reason, logically, part of me was like, maybe I should move on. I wasn't really sure. And then camp started getting closer. I started getting the itch more and more and more. And then got back on the ice, was skating with those guys, had a ton of fun. And then called Sherwood, who we've been in contact all summer, kind of what was going on and everything. And, called him, and I signed whatever 2 days later. So I'm just super fortunate to be back, and super fortunate to have a coach like Sherwood who I can have that open conversation with and be honest with, and, not feel any pressure. So that was great.
Obviously, one of the later signings, I don't know how many more people will sign before the start of the season. So you might be the last signing of the season, but I think it filled out the lineup pretty well. I told you off air what I thought the lines could be, right? And I put you in as that third line center with Cam Clark and potentially Nick Swain on your right side. What would you think if game one, they're raising the banner, you're penciled in with Cam Clark on one side of you and Nick Swain on the other?
Yeah, that sounds good. I've been talking to Sherwood today. Obviously, I was playing D a little bit at the end of the year and then throughout playoffs. Sherwood knows I just want to play hockey. It doesn't matter if center, wing, D. And I feel like I've kind of gained his trust just over the past full season, that he kind of trusts me in different positions and different situations. When it comes down to where I'm penciled in and all that stuff, I just want to play hockey. So
it doesn't matter to you. Defense, when you told me the story, and you can tell the story if you want, about you going and basically saying to Sherwood, "Hey, I'll play D. You were the 10th forward in a game, and Jesse Anderson, I believe it was, who went down, had an injury, and you basically raised your hand and say, "Hey, I'll play D because I just want more ice time. I'll take it. Just put me in there," and he did, and it worked out.
Yeah. So I played D with the Hamburg Hawks back when I was 12 years old.
That's not even on your. That's not even the Hammer Hawks are not even on your elite prospects. That's how far back it goes.
That was a long, long time ago.
I mean, yeah, you were a young guy.
Yeah. So I played D. I played D back then. I got put up to forward. I was so young. I'm not really exactly sure why. It probably was because I wasn't very good at D, but I don't know. I had my junior coach who played here. We talked about off air, Nick Tuzzolino. He was here for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was, obviously, he was a defenseman. So I would just hear him, talking to our D and going over film, and with our defenseman, he used to make us do the skating and footwork similar like what the D did, just because it doesn't hurt. So in practice, we'd be working on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I had a general idea, and then Ando went down in Danbury, and I had a good first shift. I think I threw a pretty good hit out by the blue line and had a couple of shifts in the third, and then then I went back to forward for a while, and then I don't really know exactly how it fully happened at the end of the year, but he threw me back there at D again towards the end, and my first shift was against, I think it was Danbury. I was -1, slipped over, fell, passed the puck out in front of the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Thought my defensive career was ending there. And I played the rest of that game, played well, and then played through playoffs, and I really enjoyed it. So
so then maybe pencil the lineup in. You got Jesse Anderson and Cam Servone playing D together. Maybe Emerson Emery and Chandler Lynch is playing, and then boom, there it is. Scotty Ramaekers, Dan Stone, the top D pair for the Binghamton Black Bears, game 1. You could bring an offensive style to that top D man. I mean, let's be honest. Dan Stone is probably the best stay-at-home defenseman in the Fed last year, maybe even for the last 2 years. He had Dakota Bond, probably one of the best offensive defensemen. Boom, Scotty Ramaekers. Year 3 for Dan Stone, you could be his partner.
Yeah, I mean, those are some pretty big shoes to fill with Bonner. I mean, Bonner and Stoner, even they're just the back end there. With obviously I got moved back there later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
They helped me so much. It just with little things, and I kind of told them like, hey, if there's anything, like I won't get upset. Tell me, like I want to learn. So. Just like Bonner, I know he would work with me at the end of practice, just with pivoting and, little things that you don't get the reps at up front, and things that you might not be used to, going back for pucks, shoulder checking, stuff like that. And then like on the offensive side, and then like Stoner defensively in the last 2 days at camp, I was playing D a little bit, and he's just helped me so much, even so far, with just minor stick details. Dan Stone, I listen to your show, like you say, he doesn't get enough credit in this league. He
Agreed.
does by our fan base and by our team, but when it comes to defending, staying at home, even just making a good first pass, and he does show his offensive abilities as well that I think go unnoticed. He's unbelievable. His skate detail, his stick detail, all the little things that might not get. But as a forward, whenever I'd go against Dan Stone, it was tough. So the group, that back end, even with Ando and CC, it's just, they're just helpful. They're willing to help, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I've learned just so much from them over my short time playing D.
if you had to put your money on it, are you starting defensively or offensively after camp?
I have no idea. That's
figured I'd try.
That's a Sherwood question. Yeah, I really have no idea. So yeah,
I had to try. I had to ask. No,
I get it. You got a job to do too, Bob. I get it.
Well, because for you, I know you don't care. You'll play anywhere that he tells you to, except for you're not going to put on goalie pads. I
would if they had an extra set. I might.
Really?
It wouldn't go well, but I'd give it a fair shot.
I think I was 12 years.
I promise you, I'm not the most flexible guy. I don't think.
Oh yeah, me either.
I don't think goalies not in the future. So
yeah,
I'll stick to D and forward.
I was 12 years old. They put me in goalie pads, and I basically took a few shots to the head, and I was like, I'm done. Nope.
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, my dad said they threw me in pads back when you would rotate back in like mites and stuff.
Sure.
I wasn't a good enough skater. I couldn't even stand up with the pads on, and that's where my goalie career ended. So that's it.
That's fair. Okay. So tell me a little bit about the championship. You guys, you do lose one game against Port Huron, which seemed very weird for the Black Bears, but it was only one game. You guys win the championship. What did it feel like to participate in the 25 championship, where the 24 you did watch from the sidelines? And obviously probably learning something you and I talked about off air was when the AHL game comes to Binghamton on Friday, that you guys are going to be sitting there in the stands watching it and just learning whatever you can from those guys. But you were learning obviously for the 24 championship, but in the 25 championship, you're in there, you're playing defense. But what did it feel like? Was it the same feeling to win or different depending on the 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, part of it, I think, is because I was here all year. Mm-hmm. These are guys that I battled with all season. The year before, I joined as a college kid and was getting used to pro hockey and, still meeting everybody.
So it was different.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. I think both years it was insane, blacked out. When it was when we got on the ice, it was so much going on. I was like, adrenaline was pumping, don't really remember, the initial when the horn sounds and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that first year as a college kid, and it, I wasn't even playing and I got on the ice. It was like, holy, like this is crazy. The place was so loud. Fans were going nuts. It was awesome. And, I wanted to be a part of that again next year. And that's another thing I want to be a part of this year. That next year and then this year as well. So, it was crazy. It was just crazy. It's so much fun just playing in front of our fans. And,
it's different than the fans that you played in front of in Brockport. It's different than the fans that you played in front of with the Junior Sabres, right? Because, a lot of that is family. In Brockport, yeah. It's a lot of the college students that are there. This is different here, right? The fans here in Binghamton, it's just not the same as anywhere you've ever played before, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Junior Sabres, we didn't pull a very good crowd. If, maybe some youth teams and our parents and, some of the girlfriends. And then college, it was, the community a little bit, but mostly, your classmates and stuff like that, which was really cool. And then here it's just like diehard fans, they love hockey. I know we were talking about the history of hockey before we came on and just learning about all that. It's pretty cool. So yeah. I mean, winning it last year though, back to that question, like my parents were here and, my best friend, he drove in from like Long Island, New York City area. I actually talked about him last time we were on the show. He was he was the friend that got me into hockey, so it was kind of cool to have it come full circle. My sister flew in from Nashville, so just having them out there on the ice with me and them being a part of that it just meant so much. And then obviously, going out with them after and celebrating and stuff, it was just super cool to have my family around. And, I have a good group of best friends back at home, but it was kind of cool that the one that got me into it was there to watch me raise that cup. So
that's very awesome. Scotty, let's talk a little bit about Q. John Quenneville, NHLer, AHLer, played high level over in Europe, has now signed on to be the assistant coach to work with Mason Esworthy and, of course, with Brant Sherwood with you guys. There's a rumor out there that you signed only because Q signed. Oh, wait, I think that's what you told me. No, that's not what you told me.
Probably what the boys are telling you.
It's what the boys are telling you. Okay. But tell us about your relationship with Q, because you do have a good relationship. You love Scherzi. Everybody loves Scherzi. Scherzi's the reason why this whole thing is chugging along the way it is. But you have a very special relationship with Q. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I came in as a college kid, he came back from Europe, and I played a few games in the beginning, and then towards the end of the year, and kind of we were gearing up for playoffs. I was out and team was traveling, and sometimes, I wouldn't travel and get a skate in here and a workout and stuff. So Q would be there to get us on the ice, work on some skills, some conditioning, so that, if we were needed or, if we got put in the lineup, we were ready to go. So I got close to him through that, and then throughout playoffs and stuff, just again doing that kind of stuff and work after. He played with a few guys. He played with Timmy Kennedy, who was my junior coach. So we had, some people in common and stuff like that. So yeah, I've just gotten close to Q. Even, last season I dropped some weight and stuff, and he was a huge part of that. Just, helping me with like nutrition and, workouts and stuff like that. And then when he left, we stayed in contact and stuff. So it was pretty cool. The relationship that me and Q have developed just over, the past year and a half has been great. And, we're really fortunate to have him. He's played at the highest level. He just helps so much, just a great hockey mind to have on the ice with us. And, just helps us with a lot of little things. I know when me and you talked before, as with Sherwood as the head coach, when he's running a practice and stuff, sometimes he doesn't have, he's got to keep running practice. He can't pull a guy aside and help him with like super small stuff. And that's where Q's great to have, just with those minor details and everything. I really think he's a huge addition. I think, he's going to help us hopefully win it again this year.
Well, it's amazing, too, because I think you hit the nail on the head. One of the things that John Quenneville can do, that he's seen what it takes to play at the highest level, right? It's sometimes not just the X's and the O's and the systems and the breakouts. It's sometimes the fine details. And one of the things that you and I talked about early were like angles. Like his understanding of how to cut the angle the right way is sometimes the difference between scoring a goal or even giving up a goal.
Yeah. Just like, again, with those minor little things or situational stuff, and offensively, obviously he scored a lot of goals and at very high levels. So he's just a huge help, and he's just great energy to have around the room. He comes to the rink with a smile on his face and super, super high energy. It's awesome, and it's contagious. So
that's great. And, I don't think Scherzi would bring in somebody that wasn't going to blend in good with you guys as well. Mason working on the video work for the team last year and preparing that to help Scherzi out in that regards. And now he's got somebody else who can come in who can learn off of Scherzi, and Scherzi can learn off of him as well, which is only going to make the coaching even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So listen, you've got just 9 days left, really. Maybe 8 days when people start to get to hear this before the home opener and the banner raising. What are you most excited about that first night? Is it the banner going up, or is it really just getting on the ice and playing again?
I mean, it's both. The banner goes up, it's great, but it's one of those things of, that's last year, and now let's hit the ground running and get another one up and to join the two we already got up there.
Can you do me a favor and promise me? Last year on my birthday was the banner raising ceremony. You guys lost that game to Watertown, and I was very upset about that for months. I think I haven't stopped talking about it yet. Can you guys? Can you promise me? I promise right here on the Power Play Post Show, you guys will win that game on that Friday night.
We'll try our best. We'll try our best for you, Bob.
Is that kind of like a kid saying, "Can you hit 2 home runs for me to Paul O'Neill?" And then Paul O'Neill on Seinfeld actually goes and hits 2 home runs. It's a fictional thing, I know, but that's what I'm asking for. That I'm asking you for you to hit 2 home runs and win the game for me. Scotty, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you tonight. Fans, you guys got about 35 minutes, but I got about 2 hours and 45 minutes with Scotty tonight. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Please do not tell Schurzy when we ended this conversation, because I don't want him to know how late you were up. But thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Thank you.
And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Scott Ramaekers, but now it's about Taylor and I, and we're going to go through our 5 things that we're most looking forward to and the 5 things that we're not looking forward to. And Taylor has requested, and I'm okay with this, that we're going to go with the 5 things that we're not looking forward to the most going into this. So we start off with the negative and we end on the positive, right, Taylor?
Yeah. That I think it has to be that way.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with my number 1, and then you can give me your number 1, or, the first thing on your list or the last thing on your list, however, whatever order you want to do it in. But the first thing I have on the list, I'll go first here, playing against Watertown and Danbury, 33. Well, I wrote the F word in there, but 33 times combined between the two teams. I am so not looking forward to on that 30th or 31st or 32nd or 33rd, trying to come up with the preview for it, the actual talking about it, and knowing that there's going to be certain players that we'll probably talk about so many times, and who knows what'll happen in those 33 games. Now, granted, I think we'll probably win 30 of those 33 games, but one of the things I'm not looking forward to is so many games against Danbury and Watertown. Why don't you give me your first?
So I'm actually going to give you, because mine kind of ties into that one a little bit. So this is actually my 4th one, because I wrote the schedule. I said, I haven't been opposed to the schedule so far, and I've kind of defended it a little bit on even the past episode. But I put it on as number 4 on this list for just one reason, and that's the fact of facing the same team over and over and over again. Yeah. I said it might be helpful for, I had mentioned in the previous episode about, working any kinks out within your own team. But I know that it can also, facing the same team, especially constantly in a row, 6 times in a row or whatever it was with Watertown that we have, that tensions can be really high.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I said was that I hope that the Danbury and Port Huron keep themselves busy, that we don't kind of get involved in that tay much with Danbury, and that it's just Watertown.
I agree. I almost cannot wait to watch the first Port Huron and Danbury game in Danbury. I want to listen. It's either going to be a huge letdown and nothing happens at all, or we're going to watch it because we can watch that as fans, right? And we can go, okay, Danbury and Port Huron, what are you going to do now? And boom, we're either going to get let down or it's going to be something that people will be talking about for a while. And I'm sure Taylor and I will bring it up probably after that weekend is over with. Yeah, I've got another one that has to do with the schedule, and it's not seeing Blue Ridge and Topeka, and yet they're in our division. I just, I know it's not something that's going to happen because we don't play against them, but that's one of the things I'm not looking forward to. It's like, what if it's the Black Bears have 5 wins and maybe they're 5-0, right? And then Topeka's 5-0. And, Topeka's good all season long. We get to the end of the season and we still haven't played each other. It's just, to me, I'm not looking forward to not playing Topeka and Blue Ridge at all this season.
Yeah, I don't think you're the only one on that one. That was pretty much the only bit that I had on the schedule, at least in my opinion, just because we've talked about the scheduling thing, I feel like so many times, and everyone either loves it or they absolutely hate it.
Mm-hmm.
My next one was the officiating. Mostly just the inconsistencies from game to game. You have one game where there seems to be a lot of penalties, or there's a penalty every time someone moves, and then you have games where they don't call anything. And it gets to a point like throughout the season where fan bases can call out, oh, well, they're going to get away with everything this game because so-and-so is officiating. And I think that's what I don't like.
Now, the Fed has hired another supervisor who has NHL experience, who was a linesman in the NHL for a very long time. My guess is he'll be advising probably the linesmen, but maybe some of the referees as well. So maybe that'll get a little bit better, Taylor. But I do think that there are still referees out there that have a bias when they see a certain team that they are that they are reffing against or reffing with or reffing for or linesmen for. I think there are some biases out there. I would have to agree. It didn't make my list, but it is something that I'm not looking forward to, is that conversation that sometimes happens.
Yeah, I hope that it does get better. I hope that they have brought in the right people and they make some changes for the good. But that was number 1 on my list.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there. This is actually number 4 on my list, but it is something I definitely want to put out there, which is suspensions handled poorly from the league. We see this way too many times, Taylor, where the suspensions are just so whacked out, right? And it doesn't even have to be Binghamton related. It could be other teams. Look at the way they handled Justin Barr down in Mississippi. They did it by the letter of the law, but then it took so much prodding from everybody because he was retiring to get them to change that. There was the Blue Ridge Binghamton situation, which made absolutely zero sense, that Binghamton really took the worst of that after it was announced. And then it took, Binghamton having to appeal those suspensions for them to get it semi-right. And then I still think that Tyson got screwed in those suspensions. So to me, the Dave Jackson suspensions, I am not looking forward to any of that this upcoming year. And that kind of plays into your, officials one.
Well, that was actually my second point, was player safety concern. And it's legitimately regarding suspensions. That's why I started to laugh when you started talking about it, because it's with the inconsistencies throughout the league from team to team. It's either hardly handled, or there's no action taken, or the action that is taken makes no sense.
Wow. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Was that your number 3 then?
That was my second one. So I have done 1, 2, and 4 so far.
Okay. Well, I've done 1, 2, and 4 as well. So I'm going to give you my number 3, which these are not in order for me. These are just, I have 5, right? But number 3, drama in other barns that relate to the Binghamton Black Bears, but these drama things don't happen in our arena, okay? So, like, when we go to Danbury, there's always freaking drama. And I just, like, every time we go to Danbury, I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God, Brant, just be quiet. Don't say anything. Don't kick a garbage can. Oh, my God, now they're throwing water bottles. Oh, crap, Dylan's in handcuffs. I'm getting texts at midnight. Oh, yeah, I just got put into handcuffs. It's like, no. No more drama in other people's barns. Obviously, there was the situation down in Blue Ridge as well. So drama in other barns that are not our barn is one of the things I have on the list. I heard you laughing a little bit, too.
Because I wrote drama. But mine is slightly different.
Okay.
Just because yours is more like in other arenas. Mine is mostly fan based, and that goes for every fan base. Ours, everybody's included. Because like I understand like the tensions rise, especially when it comes to Danbury, and I have a good relationship in Danbury.
Yeah, you do.
We have no issues when we go there. We don't even see any issues aside from like every once in a while, Danbury will fight other Danbury people. That is the only thing we've ever seen happen there.
Yeah.
And even them, they're like, this is crazy. Like somebody get them out of here. Like
is it not true that you guys have season tickets in Watertown and Danbury, and that you are possibly considering buying condos in both cities as well? I heard. Is this any?
Well, that's an interesting room. I mean, I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't mind.
Gotcha.
But,
so for you, it's more about the fans.
Well, just because it seems like no matter where you go, and a lot of it stems from whatever happened on the ice, whether it was a hit, whether it was a bad call, whether the refs didn't make a call, and it's always something that happens on the ice, usually. Hardly ever is it something that happened between two fans about something off the ice. But in my opinion, whatever happens on the ice, let the guys on the ice deal with it. Because at the end of the day, when they come off that ice, 9 times out of 10, they've already forgot about it. They don't care anymore. The game's over. They move on.
That's a good point.
So I just feel like unless something major happens, but even then, let Brant or Andreas deal with it.
Yeah.
Let them take care of it.
The fans don't need to be getting involved at all. You can videotape all you want. The team really loves that. So the more cameras that are out videotaping, they love it because then they can take that information and send it to the league and go, see the crap we deal with in other people's barns, because it happens in other people's barns. I want people to understand that my whole point is that the drama usually happens not in Binghamton. Gee, I wonder why. Okay, here's my last thing, and this one I really had to think about. I don't like how short the season is. Ideally, I would like it to be 62 games instead of 56, which puts them more in line of being 10 less than the leagues above them. Plus, I would like to see 5-game series in all playoffs. 3-game series is just too short for everybody involved, not just for Binghamton. It's one of the things that drives me a little nuts is that places like Carolina, they can't, they got to tear out the ice because, graduation's coming and stuff like that. Well, find another place for graduation. I don't know. I just, or don't be in this league. Find a way to keep the ice in, or put boards over the ice and then put the chairs down, because that's what they do in Binghamton, right? If they have a concert coming in, they just put boards over the ice and, but maybe that's a lame one. But I just hate how short the season is. And they usually use the excuse of, well, if we go to 62 games, we've got to play on the weekdays, or we have to extend the season, and we can't do that because you have Carolina and Columbus and a couple other places like Baton Rouge got to take the ice out so quickly. And I'm like, well, that's just dumb.
Yeah, it seems like you could try to work things around it. I don't think it's dumb, but mine's a little sad.
Oh.
My last one is just it's about struggle. And I that's like just a broad look at it, whether, like your team gets in a funk, or, you're a fan for one team and they fold within one season, or you're just watching a team travel and it's difficult because either the bus breaks down or they didn't even have a bus, and all these guys are driving personal cars and they're putting as many people as they can and all their bags and gear into one car to try to make it to these games. Or they just don't have stuff to even make it like travel to eat or have snacks or drinks or anything like that. And I mean, Kelly Howe did a great job last year of organizing a thing we literally filled that bus. Like, I don't think we could have put more food on there. There probably would have been more food than hockey players at that point. But it was a great thing. And it's just, I don't like to see that. And that's the only reason that I disliked kind of how you have all these teams that have folded within a year or a couple years of being in the league. And then you just keep adding more teams to it. Yeah. And I really think you got to focus on the teams that you have and build them up and then worry about, expanding.
I agree. Dashers, HC Venom. There are teams that we could go way back with, and it seems like they're placeholders. And it's unfortunate because you then have hundreds, maybe a couple thousand fans who get invested in these teams and they lose them very quickly. How many times has Elmira lost a team in the last 5 years? It's just kind of crazy. Now, of course, maybe Elmira is, in a better place, just doing collegiate hockey and the junior hockey that's happening out there, and they're doing well with that. But I agree with you, the struggles that we see, because it's not just the team as a whole. It's not just, it's just the Dashers. It's the players on those teams that struggle. And they're human beings like the rest of us. And why shouldn't they be able to have all the same things that Binghamton players have or Carolina players have? And it's unfortunate. And maybe it doesn't affect Taylor, but it affects her emotionally because she knows, as she's close with the fans here in Binghamton and obviously some of the players, that when you see stuff like that, it tugs at your heartstrings a little bit.
Well, I mean, Binghamton, they make it out really great up here. I mean, they have so many people that are willing to do stuff for them. But even seeing like some of the guys, if you go to a booster club meeting and Dan Weber pulls out a list he has in his pocket because these guys don't have some basic things like just towels or paper towels or something of that. And it makes you like, and I know there's a lot of people put stuff out and they give them stuff and they get a bunch of things, but it just kind of like also just kind of makes you feel bad that for the most part, these are relatively young kids that are out here doing this and they're playing for a team and they love what they're doing and they don't have some simple things. And it just, I don't know. I think it bothers me a little bit more than it maybe should, but
no, I get it.
I just don't like seeing it. And this goes for all the teams. I mean, Binghamton makes it really well and even they struggle with some certain things. So I can only imagine what it's like for other teams that don't have what Binghamton has.
And that's what a booster club is there for. We have a great booster club and they do a great job. They have over 100 members in the booster club and they do a phenomenal job taking care of the guys. And generally it doesn't bleed over to the regular fan base that often. It usually is kept within the booster club. So that's always a very good thing. All right, let's talk about the things that we are looking forward to. And I'll let you go first.
So my first one's going to be maybe a little controversial, but I'm looking forward to call-ups. And I know that sounds probably kind of weird, but it's not only good for the player being called up, but it's also good for the league. But on top of all that, if you take that all away, watching the players step up and fill the role that is now vacant is something that has been really interesting to me. Because if you look at how many guys we had called up last season between Tyson or whoever, Tyson might have been called up for a day. You have players that get called up for a couple weeks, couple months, half the season. Watching these players now have to step up and maybe play a little bit harder or do something differently than they've been doing all season. And it's worked.
Yeah, my number 5 on my list, the fifth one, was how many players in the FPHL will get called up to the ECHL. I am looking forward to how hopefully somebody tracks the number and we can see it all throughout the league. I can't wait to see how many guys get that call up, get that, ability, even if it's just for one game or up to the SPHL and it's half a season, whatever it might be. I hope that somebody does track that, because I'm looking forward to seeing how many players, especially from the Black Bears, how many guys, get a call up to Reading, maybe at Adirondack or something like that in the ECHL. I think that'll be very entertaining, but I'm not surprised we both have that on our list.
So my second one, it kind of ties in with the first one you had on your other one.
Oh.
And I went back and forth on putting this on am I looking forward to it or am I not looking forward to it?
Okay.
And I ended up putting it on the looking forward to, and it's travel, because we played Danbury and Watertown 20 of the 28 away games.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, traveling to Watertown or Danbury is not that bad. It's not that far of a drive. It's not a horrible drive. It's pretty easy to get to both arenas. So
where you have your condos.
I think just for the fan base, traveling to get to the away games, if you can only get to the closer games, you've got 20 out of 28 games that you could possibly go to support your team. And I think that's what is going to be needed this year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. My next one has to do with a particular player, and that's Connor McAnanama. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Connor does this season, stat-wise, number-wise, how well he plays. And does he get that look-see up in the ECHL? I'm very much looking forward to that.
So I have one specific player as well.
Okay.
And I could have chosen, there's so many guys that could have been chosen that I could have sat here and talked about. But I chose this person specifically because I just think they deserved it. And that's Tyson Kirkby.
Okay.
Watching Tyson grow into being the captain and the leader of this team the last couple of years has been outstanding to watch for several reasons. The guys on the team look up to him and respect him. And even Fletcher had said that when he was an acting coach, that having Tyson there to kind of help him and guide him was great. Watching him do whatever he needs, whether it's he needs to score a goal or he needs to help on an assist or just protecting his other teammates by throwing the gloves down. I truly do enjoy watching Tyson on the ice.
No, 100%. Without a doubt, he is one of the guys that other teams hate to see him on the ice, but as a Binghamton fan, and if you were a fan of the team that Tyson's playing for, you're 100% going to enjoy that. And yeah, so I have another one that reflects on two players. I want to see how Mac Jansen and Ivan Bonarenko, how they acclimate with the Black Bears roster. I'm really looking forward to seeing these two guys that Brant really talked up to me this summer, how they kind of come in and fill the roles of, Kyle Steffen, Don Oliveri, and even to a degree, Dakota Bond, because offensively they should hopefully help pick up where Dakota left off, right? So I'm really excited about Mac Jansen and, of course, Ivan Bonarenko to see how they kind of fit in with the team.
You talking about Dakota Bond kind of leads into my next one as well.
All right.
And this is another one that I had a hard time placing and going very back and forth in my head about, and it's special teams. The reason that it's been so hard for me is because I made a comment last year that Dakota Bond was on the ice more than he was off it. Every power play, every penalty kill, you could find him out there on the ice. So coming into this season, I'm excited to see the special teams and watching how they perform.
And who's that
now
guy?
That they, in my opinion, have a big role to fill.
Right, and who's the guy that who picks up that mantle? Who's the guy that is the Dakota Bond that plays on the power play, plays on the penalty kill, and kind of fills that role? That'll be interesting to see who does that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited to see it.
So my second to last one is seeing Indiana PD in Athens come into the arena for the first time. These are obviously going to be, the three new teams. Obviously, we played against Athens last year, but we played them down in Georgia. We didn't get them at all in Binghamton. PD, obviously, the new team. The jerseys, I think, look sharp. I think they're the best-looking new jerseys that are out there right now. I like the logo that PD has, which is honoring the old PD Pride. And looking to see, I think Indiana has some pretty sharp jerseys as well, especially the one where it's just the S. I think it looks really, really, really good. And I like the color scheme that they have. So I'm looking forward to seeing these teams come into our arena. We have a minimal amount of teams coming or that we're playing against. I think it's only 7 of the 14 teams, if I remember correctly. It might be 8 that we play against versus the 14 that are in the league. But I am looking forward to seeing Indiana PD in Athens come to the arena.
Yeah, it's always exciting to see somebody that you haven't seen yet, just because it's kind of interesting to see how they play in other arenas. Like people talk all the time, especially the players talk about how hard it is to play in Danbury because their ice is so much harder.
Yeah.
Or so much colder, whichever way you want to look at it.
No, I get it.
My last one, and it's pretty simple, and it's right to the point. And it's hockey. I'm just excited to be back into hockey, and I'm excited to watch hockey and just get back into the swing of things.
Oh, totally agree with you. Mine is opening night, banner raising, and the first win of the season. And I did say to Scott Ramaekers, I said, can you, just like the little kid on Seinfeld that went up to Paul O'Neill and asked Paul O'Neill to hit 2 home runs in the game. And he said, I can't hit 2 home runs in a game. You can't ask me to hit 2 home. And then he went and hit 2 home runs in the game. I asked Scott Ramaekers to guarantee a win for me on the banner raising night. But I am looking forward to the first game of the season. I can't help it. It's one of the things that gets me jonesed up and ready for the season is the first night. And of course, with the banner raising, I cannot wait.
I'm excited for hockey to be back in town.
I don't disagree with you. All right, so we are already over an hour and 30 minutes. So we are going to end it here. Those were the 5 things that we were looking forward to and the 5 things that maybe we're not looking forward to so much. And I know she's got more things written down in her notebook because she said she did. And maybe I'll just ask her next week what are a couple of the other things, just for fun. But we're going to end it there. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show, whichever favorite app you use. And don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. And looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, just go to binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob Lepolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, forward or defenseman, whichever you want to call him. He is Scott Ramaekers. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Petitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.